विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्ता स्वामिनिति नाम्ने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा
Hare
हरे
Krishna,
हरे राम 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 हरे yes. So anyone would like to summarize what we discussed in our last session? Yes, Hinaji, would you like to summarize if you remember? Hare Krishna, are you there?
Yes, Prabhu, but I don't remember much about that session. Sorry for that.
No worries. Yes, anyone else would like to summarize?
Yes, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Please.
We should control our sense
Hmm.
and all things to be engaged in Krishna service. And sense suppression suppression is better, yes, rather than suppression, controlling is better. And rather than controlling, it's service in Krishna service, it is best.
Correct.
And we have to do, we should do the work, our own karma, action. If we failed, that is good, but others work we should not do that work. परधर्म करना नहीं चाहिए हमें. कृष्ण सर्विस प्रेस्क्राइब किए वही कर्म करना चाहिए. जो 4 वर्ण का हिसाब से जो कर्म है, जो जिसका कैटेगरी, वो कर्म करना चाहिए पहले. We should do our own karma.
Wonderful. Yes. So in our last session, we discussed 3 verses from Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter. Verse number, I guess, 30.
Prabhu, we did up till 34.
Huh?
Up till 34 we did.
35.
32, 33, 34.
35th also we did. Yes. 34th and 35th we did.
Yes, yes.
So in these verses, if we see how beautifully Krishna brings the concept of regulating senses. Why these regulations, rules and regulations are required, that also we can understand that when somebody tries to follow the rules and regulations in Bhakti Yoga, it is like a stepping stones. It is not something which is going to bind us. It is going to liberate or free us. We can understand this with a beautiful example, just like in a prison house. In a prison house, a prisoner is there, and that prisoner is thinking, I'm living here so peacefully, I'm getting my daily bread 2 times, 3 times a day, I'm without working so hard, I'm getting my food and enjoying my life here. So let me remain here only. Sometimes he is getting dal, sometimes he is getting rice, sometimes he is getting burnt chapati, all that dry chapati, he is getting different varieties or kind of food he is getting, and he is thinking this life is the best life. Whereas there is a learned or intelligent prisoner is also residing there. He also had committed some sin or some crime. Because of that, he is in prison house. Now, what he is thinking? He is thinking, let me get out of this prison house so that once I am out, I can eat whatever I desire. Today I may desire some paneer ka sabji, I can have that. Today I want some this sabji, I can eat that. I no need to depend on this food which is not at all good in quality. I want something which is best of the quality and I can choose what I desire. So another prisoner is thinking like that. So this another prisoner who is very learned, who is very intelligent, he works hard, follow the all rules and regulations of the prison house to reform himself. To reform himself that one day this span of punishment will get reduced, because in prison house we know that prisoners who are very sincere, who are working hard to reform themselves, their punishment is reduced. So this prisoner, he is working very hard, following all the rules and regulations of prison house, and very soon, after few years or few months of his imprisonment, he comes out of the jail and enjoys his life with full freedom. He can go wherever he wants. In prison house, he is limited to particular cell. He cannot move around so freely. He cannot eat what he desire. But this learned prisoner or intelligent prisoner who follow all these rules and regulation of prison house, he could easily come out of that prison house and enjoy his life with full freedom. So that is the real freedom. So same way, we all have been engaged in this body, which is of these senses, and these senses are what kind of nature? Krishna explains these senses are like what? In second chapter we read, Krishna gave one example. These senses are like this. Yes, and anyone remembers? Hmm? Anyone remembers? So Krishna, he compares the senses to the venomous serpent. Venomous serpent or poisonous serpent, how it acts. Even though it is not your fault, you have not done anything, that venomous serpent will come to you and bite you. It is very restless in nature. Same way our senses are very restless in nature, and they always want to enjoy and exploit as much as possible. So we all have been end up in a situation where we are very helpless. We have become the servant of these senses. So to come out of this material entanglement to the cycle of birth and death, it is very, very important for us to regulate our senses. As in previous verse we discussed, first is one has to, like one way of regulating or controlling the senses is to suppress them. And suppressing the senses is not going to help. It will bounce back. Whenever one gets the opportunity to indulge in sense gratification, he will not be able to safeguard himself. So then what is the solution? Solution is one has to regulate his senses and engage in the service of the Krishna. Regulate, and on the same side he has to engage the senses in the service of the Lord. When he acts in that way, he is always protected. Even though Krishna is mentioning in the 7th chapter, not in 7th chapter, 9th chapter, he is mentioning api chetasa duracharo. Even though such a person who is sincerely trying to control his senses with determination, even though he may perform abominable act, he is considered to be saintly. I'll read the exact translation. Even if one commits the most abominable actions, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated. So here, what we can understand, There are two kinds of saintly people. One who accept this life as a saint, or this garb of a saintly person, just to cheat innocent people, just to play around with their faith. There are many people we see, many people get cheated with such saintly peoples. They get cheated. Whereas there is another saint, another kind of saint who accept this life to serve Krishna with determination. To serve Krishna with determination. So as Prabhupada mentioned in the earlier purport, even on the royal roads, on the safest roads of the world, there are chances of an accident. Same way, even this person who has accepted this life, even though he is trying to regulate his senses, engage in his senses in the service of Krishna with great determination, even though he may fall down accidentally, Krishna still guides that person, protects that person. So one should not have this fear that these rules and regulations are going to bind me. Rules and regulations are going to liberate us, going to free us, just like Narada Muni. He can travel all across the creation, either in Vaikuntha, spiritual world, or in this material world, he can easily travel. So this human form of life is meant for performing tapasya, to elevate ourselves spiritually. It is not meant to act like an animal. It's like animal, if we see, animal act as they desire. Suppose they wish to eat something, they will immediately go for that and they will not think whether it is right or wrong. They will immediately indulge in all those sense gratificatory activities. The difference between us and animal is we are also doing the same activity. Eating, sleeping, mating, defending, all these four activities we are also doing, but in a civilized way. We are eating, sitting on a dining table and we are eating, whereas an animal who is there, suppose a dog is there on the street, he eats on the street itself. He is not at all considered about the near around environment. All that he is not at all considered. He is sleeping wherever he gets a space. He just clean off a little bit and he sleeps. We have a proper room, beds. We are doing in civilized way. So same way we see, we are also defending. A dog also defends his territory. He marks his territory with his urine. And as soon as another dog enters into his territory, he chases him away. Same way we are also defending our bank balance, our property, wealth, so many such things we are also defending. We are also mating, animals are also mating. So what is the difference? Shastra says, we are like just Dvipada Pashu. We are like a Dvipad means two-legged animal. We are also doing the same things. So what is the difference? Difference is of intelligence. We have got the intelligence to inquire about the spiritual subject matter. That why I have been suffering. Even though I didn't want suffering, I wanted to be happy in my life. But suffering is forced upon me. Why it is so? So all these inquiries are meant to be asked because we have got human form of life. We have got intelligence, developed intelligence, which is very, very conducive to come out of this cycle of birth and death. Yes. So we will start with today's verse number 36. 35th, 36th. Yes, please chant the shloka. Arjuna Vacha
Arjuna Vacha
Kena Pariyukto Yam
अथकेन
तेन
प्रयुक्तोऽयम्
प्रयुक्तं यम्
Apam Charati Purushaha
पापं
चरति पुरुषः
Anichannapi Vashneya
अनिच्छन्नपि
अनिच्छन्नपि
वार्ष्णेय
वाष्णेय
Baladivani Yojitaha.
बलादेव नियोजितः।
नियोजितः।
Yes, anyone would like to chant the shloka?
अर्जुन वाचो अथो केन प्रयुक्तोऽहं पापं चरिते पुरुषः अनिच्छन्नपि वार्ष्य बलादिव नियोजितः।
Wonderful. Yes, anyone else?
अर्जुन उवाच अथा केन प्रयुक्तोऽयं पापं कराति पुरुषः अनिच्छन्नपि वार्ष्णेय बलादिव नियोजितः।
Wonderful. Yes, anyone else?
प्रभु
अर्जुनोवाच अर्थकेन प्रयुक्तोऽयं पापं चरति पुरुषः अनिच्छमपि वार्ष्णेय बलादिव नियोजितः।
Wonderful. Yes, someone else would like to chant?
Yes, Prabhu. Arjuna Vacha Atha Kena Prayukto Yam Papam Charati Purushaha Anichan Api Parsneya Balad Iva Niyojita.
Yes, someone else?
यस प्रभु अर्जुन उवाच अथ केन प्रयुक्तोऽयं पापं चरितः पुरुषः अनिच्छन्नपि वाष्णेये बलादि नियोजितः।
Yes, someone else?
Yes, Prabhu. Arjun uvacha अथ केन प्रयुक्तोऽयं पापं चरति पुरुषः अनिच्छन्नपि वार्ष्णेय बलादिव नियोजितः।
Yes, someone else?
Yes, Prabhu. Arjuna Vacha Atha Kena Prayuktoyam Papam Charati Purushaha Anichan Api Varshneya Baladeva Niyukjita.
Wonderful. Yes, someone else? All right. Read the translation. Arjuna said, O descendant of Vrashani, by what is one impelled to sinful acts, even unwillingly, as if engaged by force? So Arjuna, being a Kshatriya, he knows very well the condition of the living entities, of the citizens in general, of the people in general, that many times people in general, they don't want to perform a heinous act or a sinful act or a criminal activity, but sometimes they act very helplessly, even though they don't desire, anichan, they don't want, without icha, they don't desire, but unwillingly they are acting. So such a wonderful question here Arjuna has placed in front of Krishna. Just like a living entity, we being the part and parcel of that Supreme Lord, we are the spirit soul, which is pure in nature. So what is that which made us to act or perform sinful activities which are impure in nature? This is what Arjuna is asking. And it is like force. Balad is acting under some force, not out of his own desire. He is impelled to act in a particular way, in a sinful way. Why it is so? These types of questions are known as Brahma Jignasa, inquiries about the spiritual subject matter. So let us read the purport and we will try to understand more in detail. A living entity, as the part and parcel of the Supreme, is originally spiritual, pure, and free from all contaminations. Therefore, by nature, he is not subjected to the sins of the material world. But when he is in contact with the material nature, he acts in many sinful ways without hesitation and sometimes even against his will. See, he acts sometimes against even his own will. Just like many times we try to follow, diet, which is we try to avoid various things like sweets or some fry item or such heavy items which adds into our carbs or calories. So we try to follow certain diet. But we see when some sweets or such delicious delicacies are served in front of us, we, even though we don't want, we don't desire, we end up eating those delicacies. We end up eating those dishes. So why it happens? We know that it is not going to help. Just like a person who is a heart patient, he knows that if I eat this thing, it will make a situation worse. But still he is not able to control. A person who is addicted to liquor or some intoxicant or smoking, he knows in his heart, he has that knowledge. He has that knowledge, but still not able to control or give up his drinking or smoking. Why it is so? We'll read further. As such, Arjuna's question to Krishna is very sanguine. As to the perverted nature of the living entities, although the living entities sometimes do not want to act in sin, he is still forced to act. Sinful actions are not, however, impelled by the super soul within, but are due to another cause, as the Lord explained in the next verse. So here, very beautiful point Prabhupada has already marked, that many times we think that whatever is happening because of Lord's sanction, or because of Lord is arranging, or Lord is doing, because of that reason it is happening. So here it is clearly mentioned, sinful actions are not, however, impelled by the super soul within, but due to another cause. All these sinful actions, whatever we perform, is not because of the super soul or the Paramatma or Krishna, Supreme Lord. It is because of some another reason. What is that reason? That reason Arjuna is asking here. Just like, suppose you are there and you are sitting on a chariot. You are sitting on a chariot. There is a chariot driver is there who is holding the reins to control the horses which are going to drive the chariot. Now suppose you ask the chariot driver to take you to so and so place, so and so destination, but that chariot driver is not able to control the horses and you end up in another location or another destination. You wanted to go into the right direction, but horses has taken you to the left direction, or whimsically they have taken you in such a direction that you are not able to figure out where you are. So if we see such a helpless situation or a chaotic situation, it is, I wanted to go to particular direction or particular destination, but I have landed up somewhere else. Right? So we will try to understand from the next verse what Krishna is saying. It is one of the important verses of the Bhagavad Gita. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Kamaesha Krodesha Rajoguna Samudbhava Mahashano Mahapapam Vidiyenam Iva Varinam. Translation: the Blessed Lord said, "It is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with the material modes of passion and later transformed into words, and which is all devouring and sinful enemy of this world." So here Krishna has straightforward, he has given an answer to Arjuna. What he is saying? Kama Esha. It is lust only. And how lust bonds? With the contact of material modes of passion and later transformed into words. In the second chapter, we all have read how this develops. What was that? Sangat sanjayadhyayato vishyan pumsan sangas teshopajayate sangas sanjayate kama kama krodhabhir jayate. While contemplating the object of sense is a person develop attachment for them. Means when we think of some sense object, we are contemplating upon that sense object continuously. So what happens? We develop attachment for that sense object. And when we develop attachment for such sense object, what happens? Lust develops. And from lust, anger arises. We become angry in nature. And from anger, delusion. And from delusion, bewilderment of memory. And when memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost. And when intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material pool. So here, very important thing to understand is, what is lust? In Sanskrit, we understood, okay, it is known as kama. So I would like to know some inputs from you. What do you understand when it comes as a lust? Yes, anyone would like to share?
Desires.
Desires, okay. Yes, anyone else? No idea.
Prabhuji, any desire to be to have pleasure.
Any desire to have a pleasure, okay. Yes, anyone else?
Uncontrollable desire.
Uncontrollable desire, yes. Anything else?
Actually, desires which are not in direction of Krishna consciousness or in what Krishna or in service of Krishna. Desires, the material desires, basically.
Material desires, okay.
Attraction
Yes.
and desires for satisfying oneself, satisfying our own senses.
Satisfying our own senses, okay. Yes, anyone else? What is lust?
Envy,
Envy?
greed, being greedy about something.
Okay. Yes, anyone else would like to share what is lust? Alright. So lust, we can understand there are 4 ways or 4 definitions in general we can understand lust. So first thing is, anything that we desire to enjoy which is not at all entitled, which is not at all entitled for us. The desires which are not at all entitled, like we are not the owner. Suppose I go some sweet shop and there is a sweet shop owner is there, and I try to steal away some sweets from that sweet shop and I want to eat that. So that is counted as a lust. Desire to enjoy something that we are not entitled for. That is lust. Second is, lust is something desire to enjoy which is beyond our capacity. Suppose now I have gone to sweet shop. This time I have purchased 100 rasgullas. Now I want to eat all those 100 rasgullas. Even though I am the owner, I have purchased, I have got the proprietorship of those 100 rasgullas. I want to eat them at one shot. So what will happen? My body and mind is very limited. There is a certain capacity to enjoy. So I cannot enjoy all those things. Beyond a certain capacity, I cannot enjoy. I cannot enjoy. That is also counted as lust. When I was a kid, when I was very small, I used to think that those days I used to like these rasgullas and all. So I used to think that these shopkeepers, they are so lucky. They have so many rasgullas, anytime they can eat as much as they want, they can eat. But now we understand that they cannot enjoy beyond their capacity, maybe one or two. How much they will eat? They will end up in certain complications, health issues. So even though we may want, but our body mind system or our capacity is very limited, we cannot enjoy beyond that capacity. And third is desiring to enjoy something which is not permissible by dharma, which is not permissible as per dharma. Dharma does not recommend, means code of conducts or religious principles does not recommend, but still I want to do. Still I want to enjoy. That's why we are seeing so many sexual offenses are happening in the society. Few years back, I read one just a headline of a news that few people, they even did not spare a lizard. That monitored lizard also they raped. So see what kind of situation we are in. Forget about a child, forget about a woman, or forget about any relative or anything. That not even sparing the animals. What kind of absurd desires they are getting? What is that? That is lust. It is mentioned when a person, he performs Kanyadana, he gives his daughter into the charity. So that son-in-law who is accepting the charity, or this daughter of so and so person as to be his wife, he promises to her father. What he promises? Dharma cha na ati. I will not use your daughter more than dharma, which is not prescribed as per dharma. Dharma cha na ati means against dharma or more than what is prescribed in dharma, in the codes of conducts of religion. Just like Krishna says in the 7th chapter, what is saying? He is saying, Dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshava. I am the sex life he is mentioning. But that sex life he is mentioning is abiding by the rules and regulations of dharma. So what is the purpose of sex life then? The purpose of sex life is not to satisfy our senses, but to conceive a progeny. To have a progeny, that is the purpose of sex life. And that is what Krishna is saying, I am that sex life. Even Mahatma Gandhi, he used to say nature has a sufficient to satisfy our need, but not our greed. So, as much as dharma permits, or it is there in our, quota, that much only we should enjoy. More than that, enjoying is also known as lust. More than also enjoying is known as lust. Like many days we come across the news articles how people, to satisfy their lustful propensities, they go to don't know what kind of degrees they do. And fourth and most important is lust is desiring to enjoy independent of Krishna. Desiring to enjoy independent of Krishna. That is the main term karma is coined as. Independent of Krishna, we want to enjoy. That is also lust. And that is what implicate us in this material world. Just like when this father, he gives her daughter into the charity to a suitable person. This Viva Yagna, we say Yagna. Why it is known as Yagna? Yagna means sacrifice. Sacrifice, as we understood in the 3rd chapter 9th verse. Yagnartha karmano nitra loko yam karma bandhana. These yagnas are meant to perform for the satisfaction of that Supreme Lord Vishnu. Otherwise, it is going to bind us in this material world. Therefore, Arjuna, you perform your duty for his satisfaction alone. So these yagnas are completely meant for the satisfaction of Vishnu or Krishna. So how this Viva Yagna or a marriage can be considered as a sacrifice or can be considered for the satisfaction of the Lord? Because here, the person who is giving her daughter as a charity to a suitable match, that person who is accepting the charity, he promises to her father that so far you have taken care of your daughter, you have guided her on the principle of dharma. Now it is my duty to guide her on the principles of dharma and let her get liberated from this bondage of material world. He promises that I'll let her get liberated from this bondage of material world. That is the meaning of marriage. That's why it is known as Grasta Ashrama, a place of residence where they both come together to make spiritual advancement, not to satisfy their senses, but to make spiritual advancement. They support each other. That is what is the karma that Krishna is referring in the 7th chapter, Kamosmi. So, we will read the purport and we will try to understand more in detail. This topic is very, very vast and we will try to cover all the verses today itself. When a living entity comes in contact with the material creation, his eternal love for Krishna is transformed into lust in association with modes of passion. Or in other words, the sense of love for God becomes transformed into lust as the milk in contact with salt tamarind is transformed into yogurt. Then again, when lust is unsatisfied, it is turns into worth, and worth is transformed into illusion, and from illusion continues the material existence. This is particular, this if we see, we have already read in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsa, entire that chain is given. How we fall again into this material world, this is mentioned already. So now here we will try to understand how it happens. We all being part and parcel of that Supreme Lord, we belongs to Him, we are pure in nature. But what happens as soon as we get a tendency to enjoy independent of Krishna, we have been sent into this material world. Okay, like you want to enjoy independent of Krishna, okay, it is not possible to be enjoy independent of Krishna in the spiritual world. Better you go into material world. And as soon as we come in contact with this material creation in this material world, even though we were pure, we get contaminated. How? Just like suppose you are there, you go for a shopping into some shopping mall. As soon as you enter into the shopping mall, there are various, shops are there, various outlets are there, and seeing those outlets, different kinds of varieties of dresses, different varieties of stuffs, when we see, we develop a desire. Oh, let me have this, I want to take this, I want to take that. So what happens? As soon as we enter into certain mall, we start developing desire. Let me acquire this, let me have this, let me take this, let me purchase that. So all that desires we get. Suppose you, rather than going to shopping mall, if you go to some small shop, you will get desires according to that. So same way, when we come into this material world, in the contact with material nature or this material creation, what happened? Even though we were pure in nature, when we come in association with mode of passion, automatically we start developing desire. Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsa means we start developing desire, and that desire further transform into lust. So originally we all had love for Krishna, pure love for Krishna. But as soon as we come in touch with this material world, with this material creation, that love get transformed into lust. Lust for what? Lust to enjoy independent of Krishna, lust for my enjoyment. Now I become the center of enjoyment. I want this for myself, I want that for myself. All that happens. And especially in Kali Yuga, if we see, Kali Yuga, even worse situation is happening. Mand sumand mateo, mand bhagya upradita. Bhagya, our fortune is so upradita, it is so unfortunate we are. Why we are so unfortunate? We are seeing people are getting so many absurd desires. Forget about a man wants woman, man wants men nowadays. They have lost all kind of discrimination, all such desires they are getting. Such a precarious condition it is in this age of Kali Yuga. Or particularly we see how this tendency is even growing more in today's age is fundamental reason, if we try to understand, is because of we are not at all patient and we are not at all tolerant. We have not ability to tolerate and we don't have ability to be patient. Just like on our fingertips everything is available. I want to go somewhere, Uber is there, immediately within 2 minutes I can get a Uber. I want to eat something, Zomato, Swiggy is there, within 20 minutes, 30 minutes I can get whatever I desire. I want some stuff, Blinkit, Zomato, all such things are there to fulfill my desire immediately. On my fingertips, everything is there. I can get immediately, which make us very aggressive, impatient, and intolerant. Same way, when it comes to sense enjoyment, especially when we speak of sexual enjoyment, immediately we want. Because of that, we are seeing so many rape cases are happening in the society. A person, he has proposed to certain women and all, they are not agreeing. He will go and perform heinous act against her desire. He'll exploit her. All these things are happening because of these fundamental things are missing from our society. These values are missing from our society. There are a lot of multiple factors adding to this cause. The way we have been trained up, the way we have been educated, we are not at all taught to have a patience. Even though all kind of education is given to all of us. Now, if we see even curricula, a lot of such education is given. But there is no education is given to how to control the senses. No education is given how to control our senses, how to tolerate our desires, how to be patient. All these things are not taught. So all these values and culture is missing from our society because we have neglected our own teachings, our own culture, which is very beautifully presented by the Lord Himself for the welfare of the mankind. That's why Krishna is mentioning in previous verses, if we see, but those who out of envy disregard this teaching, does not practice them regularly, are to be considered bereft of all knowledge, befooled and doomed to ignorance and bondage. They end up in bondage. They end up into the cycle of birth and death again. Just like in today's society, in today's world, we are giving a lot of knowledge to the kids. Lot of institutes are there. But still, when we go for the airport, lot of rigorous checking is there. Then what is the use of such knowledge? What is the use of such education? If people are becoming thief, people are not at all having good character, if people are not at all honest, what is the use of such education? Education is meant to transform us. Education is meant to build a good character. Education is meant to develop such values. That is the purpose of education. And that education is possible only when we work upon our roots, our own values and culture that this knowledge is carrying, this transcendental knowledge is carrying. That's why Krishna is, see what kind of concern Krishna is presenting here. Who disregards these teachings and does not practice them regularly, they are bereft of all knowledge. All knowledge means they will not be having any good character. They will not be able to practice what they learn. Just like we know that sweet is not good for me, or certain dish is not good for me. I am following particular diet. But when it comes in front of me, I act very impulsively. There is certain kind of impulses there. I am not able to control my senses. I take and I eat it. And many times I may fall sick also. So, this knowledge is not covering one aspect. It is a holistic knowledge which covers everything. It helps us how to regulate our senses. It helps us tolerate the things. It helps us to be patient. That's why Krishna in the 9th chapter, in the beginning itself, he begins with Idam tu te guhyatamam pravachyami anusuyave jnana vijnana sahitam yat yatva mokshase subhat. Jnana vijnana, knowledge, and vijnana is implementation of the knowledge. Sahitam, both has to go hand in hand. Acquiring knowledge, and second is practicing knowledge. When both goes hand in hand, then one can be relieved. I'll read the exact translation. My dear Arjuna, because you are never envious to me, I shall impart to you this most secret wisdom. Idam tute guhyatamam. One is guhya. Guhya means confidential. Guhyatara means more confidential. Here it is superlative degree. Guhyatamam, most confidential, most secret wisdom, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries of material nature, material existence. So see, this knowledge is so powerful. One who starts living with this knowledge, with the principles of this knowledge, he can be easily free from the miseries of this material existence. It is a gradual process. Gradually he'll get liberated. We read further. Verse number 37. Therefore, lust is the greatest enemy of the living entity. And it is lust only which induces the pure living entity to remain entangled in the material world. Worth is the manifestation of the mode of ignorance. These modes exhibit themselves as worth and other corollaries. If therefore the mode of passion, instead of being degraded into the mode of ignorance, are elevated to the mode of goodness by prescribed method of living and acting, then one can be saved from the degradation of worth by spiritual attachment. So here, very wonderful point it is mentioned. See, by mode of goodness, by attaining the mode of goodness, and how one can attain the mode of goodness, when one live his life as prescribed in the Shastras, as prescribed in the scriptures. Just like a person who is diseased is suffering from certain kind of disease, a severe disease. So if he follows the prescription given by the doctor, he takes the medicines on the time, he can get cure very easily. Same way, this Bhagavad Gita, these scriptures that Krishna has given to all of us are meant for our own welfare. These are like the prescription that Krishna has given to get free from this bondage of material world. He is like a doctor. He has given this prescription to us so that we can get free from this bondage and we can make a spiritual advancement. And how it is possible? By following the scriptures, what happened? We come to Sato Guna, mode of goodness, where we can understand what is good for us, what is bad for us. What is good for us and what is bad for us, we can understand very easily. We can discriminate between the things, what is right, what is wrong. We can take decisions. So how one can come to mode of goodness? By practicing Bhakti Yoga, by chanting the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. By reading the scriptures, one can come to the mode of goodness. By associating with devotees, one can come to the mode of goodness. By performing kirtan, one can come into the mode of goodness, or any direct or indirect touch with the Supreme Lord, one can come to the mode of goodness. And this mode of goodness is very, very conducive for us to make spiritual advancement, to develop that love of God again, transform our lust back to the love. Read further. The Supreme Personality of God had expanded himself into many for his ever-increasing spiritual bliss, and the living entities are the part and parcel of this spiritual bliss. Eko yo bhaunam vidadhati kama. This Eka means that Supreme Lord, Eko yo bhaunam, he expanded into bhauna, means multiples. Eko yo bhaunam vidadhati kama. Fulfill their desires. They also have a partial independence, but by the misuse of their independence, when the service attitude is transformed into the propensity for sense enjoyment, they come under the sway of lust. Just like in our temple, we have a Goshala. So in the Goshala, there are a lot of cows are there, and sometimes we see there are some mischievous cows are there. They are very naughty, mischievous in nature. So such cows, what happens? The person who is taking care of the cow, he binds that cow with a rope. With a rope. All other cows, they are free, they can move. But to such some mischievous cows, he binds with the rope, so that she cannot move around and cannot create havoc or disturb other cows. So same way, Krishna has given all of us independence to choose. He respects our free will. He has given all of us independence. He respects our choice. So he has given that independence. But what happens? We, out of ignorance, or we get eluded, that we misuse this independence. Then what happened? Just like a cow is bound by the rope, we also get bounded in this material creation through our karma bandhana. And that is what Krishna is asking all of us, to get free from such karma bandhana, and enjoy a life of independence, real freedom. So we use our independence under the sway of lust. Under the illusion, we use our independence, and we make certain choice in our life which further implicate us into the karma bandhana. That's why it is very, very important to understand or to respect or to value the freedom that Krishna has given all of us. So this making choice is in our hand. To desire is in our hand. So the choices that we make in our life, that help us or decides whether we will have a short rope or a long rope, or we will be free. We can move freely. So these choices we have to be very, 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 very careful. These choices should be aligned with the scriptures, with the intelligence that we derive from scriptures. In second chapter, Krishna says, no, Vyavasayatmika buddhi eko kuru nandana. Our buddhi, our intelligence should be Vyavasayatmika. It should be aligned with the purport of the scriptures, of the shastras. So these shastras are like our life manual, Just like 2-3 days back, I purchased one portable voice amplifier or sound system. So to operate that sound system, I needed the help of user manual, how I can operate it, what all function it is carrying, right? How to turn it on, how to turn it off. Or turn on and turn off is very easy, but how to have user different modes it is having, Bluetooth, this, that, so many functions it is having, how to use all that. So I have to refer to the user manual. Same way we have got this precious human form of life, but we fail to refer to the user manual. Fail to refer the user manual, which is these scriptures or Bhagavad Gita. So when one associate with the message of Krishna with this Bhagavad Gita, one can easily conquer over his greatest enemy, which is known as lust. Nashta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata seveya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati nashtaki. Nashta means all our abhadras. All the inauspiciousness in our heart can be destroyed simply by worshipping this Bhagavad Gita, Nityam Bhagavata Sevya. And how one can worship this Bhagavad Gita on Bhagavatam? By reading it on daily basis. Nityam means on regular basis, on daily basis. So when somebody reads on the daily basis, this do the Shravan of this Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita, he can be freed of all inauspiciousness in his heart. And when he gets free from all such inauspiciousness in our heart, their heart or in our heart, what happens? Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. Nashtaki Bhakti, firm faith, firm devotion for the Supreme Lord can be established. That same pure love that we had can be again revived, can be established. So powerful is this message of Bhagavad Gita. It is a direct association with that Supreme Lord one is having. To read further, this material creation is created by the Lord to give a facility to the conditioned souls to fulfill these lustful propensities. And when they are completely baffled by prolonged lustful activities, the living entities begin to inquire about their real position. Very wonderful point here it is mentioned. Many a times, very, very fortunate or very, very rare souls get to know or come to this understanding that whatever I am trying to make arrangement for my happiness in this life, all these arrangements are getting baffled. I wanted or I thought this will make me happy. It's not making me happy or satisfied. I thought by purchasing a car or a bungalow, I will be happy. Again, after some time, same position, I am not happy. So what happens? He gets frustrated. What is this? What I am trying? I want to be happy, but I am not happy. So what happens? He gets frustrated. And when he gets frustrated, now he has two options. One is, he leave everything, he renounce everything and goes to the forest. Second thing is, one who is even more fortunate, he get queries, why I am suffering? Why I am suffering? He looks or he try to get his answers. Manushya Nam Sahasreshu, out of thousands and thousands, one get an opportunity to know why I am suffering. Athato Brahma Jignasa. And when one understands that the cause of all causes, Vasudevam Sarvamiti Saha Mahatmasu Dullabha. When he understands that Krishna is all in all, such a soul, such a great soul, not soul, great soul, Mahatma, Sudullabha. Dullabha means very rare. Sudullabha means very, very rare. So, if we see in our life, all of us has got this opportunity to understand this tattva, to understand about Krishna, to practice this knowledge, to act as Krishna desires. We have, all of us has got opportunity to get free from the bondage of this material world. So we should not miss this golden opportunity. And when he inquires and when he gets such inquiries, then his spiritual life begins and he can get free from all such lustful propensities. He can develop his real love for the Lord. Further we read, this inquiry is the beginning of the Vedanta Sutra, wherein it is said, Athato Brahma Jignasa. Now should inquire into the Supreme. Now you have got this human form of life. Athato means, therefore now you should inquire about the Supreme, about the spiritual subject matter. And the Supreme is defined in Srimad Bhagavatam as Janmadasya Yato Naivat Itrascha. Means the origin of everything is Supreme Brahman. Krishna is the origin of everything. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidanand Vigraha Nadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam is the cause of all causes and he is the origin of everything. Krishna says this same thing in the Bhagavad Gita also. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate. From me everything emanates. Same thing Bhagavatam is saying. Janmadasya yato, the origin of everything is the Supreme Brahman, that Krishna. Therefore, the origin of lust is also in the Supreme. If therefore lust is transformed into the love for the Supreme or transformed into Krishna consciousness, or in other words, desiring everything for Krishna, then both lust and worth can be spiritualized. So just like lust is tendency to enjoy independent of Krishna or tendency to enjoy for our own self, to satisfy our senses, that is lust. Many a times when we go to market or some place, we immediately want, oh, I want to take it for myself. I want to take it for myself. But a devotee, he sees, oh, let me take it and offer it to Krishna. Let me take it and offer it to Krishna. This flower is looking so nice. Let me take it and offer it to Krishna. Like a few days back, I was thinking one thing, like as I am serving as a full-time devotee in a temple, so there is a change. Like earlier, for myself, I can easily spend thousands of rupees and all. It was so easy. But now, I am able to spend lakhs of rupees, but for Krishna. When it comes to my choice or like my spending on my own self, I feel it is not required. Even though it may be some 100, 200, 500, I'll think 10 times whether it is required or not required, whether I should take it or not, whether there is a utility of this object is there or not there. So such changes one can easily observe when somebody practices Bhakti Yoga. So I was feeling that how for Krishna we can spend even lakhs of rupees. We don't even think twice. But for myself, I am thinking 10 times whether I should take it or not. So this difference one can easily observe when somebody is making spiritual advancement. This is the sign of advancement. We'll read further. Hanuman, the great servitor of Lord Ram, engaged his worth upon his enemies for the satisfaction of Lord. Therefore, lust and worth, when they are employed in Krishna's consciousness, become our friends instead of our enemies. Even lust can become a friend. How? Because this karma, when we engage in getting progeny, and progeny should be Krishna conscious progeny. It is not an enemy, it is a friend. Same way, Lord Hanuman, he utilized his anger. When he utilized his anger, anyone would like to share? Who gets angry more here? Yes.
यस प्रभु। जब वो लंका में गए थे और उन्होंने अपनी पूंछ से में आग लगाई जब उनके, तो उन्होंने पूरी लंका को जला दिया था।
Correct.
That is
So
one.
Lord, yes, yes.
और नहीं, बाकी तो कंफ्यूज होके फिर पर्वत पूरा उठा ला रहे थे उधर से।
Correct. See how Lord Hanuman, he used his anger to destroy the enemy or Ravana's Lanka. So same way, devotees, just like Hanuman, if we see, he utilized in his anger in the service of the Lord. He wanted Mother Sita to be back with the Lord Ram again. Whereas Ravana, who is a demonic person, he wanted Mother Sita to enjoy. For his own enjoyment, he wanted Mother Sita. Same way in today's society, we see that we are exploiting the resources of nature for our own enjoyment. For our own enjoyment. So that demon or demonic mentality is residing on our heart. It is very, very deep rooted. That's why devotees always they try that how a living entity, how a person can serve Krishna, how he can engage himself in Krishna's service. That is the tendency of a devotee. Just like many times people ask, oh, this Hare Krishna people, they ask for money, money. People, they earn money, they want to satisfy their senses. They want to exploit the nature. Whereas a devotee's understanding is, when this money is engaged in Krishna's service, it becomes Lakshmi. Otherwise, it is Maya. They want to unite Lakshmi back to Narayana, back to Krishna. They want to engage Lakshmi again in Krishna's service. Just like Hanuman, Lord Hanuman, he wanted Mother Sita to be united with Lord Ram. Same way, devotees also desire that everything, all the resources should be employed in Krishna's service. He should get the best of the facility. He should get the best of the facility. And when all the resources are engaged in Krishna's service, nature flourishes in abundance. Nature produces everything in abundance. Whether it may be any grain, or it may be any jewel, or any such things. Even cows starts producing more and more milk. Oceans and nature, earth starts producing rare metals, rare gems, precious gems. It starts producing. So, it is very, very important for all of us to understand how we all have been implicated or have such a big enemy. Which is always against our desire. It is forcing us to act against the principles of Dharma. So, but when we engage ourselves in Krishna's service, Devi Esha Gunamayi, Mama Maya Duratya, when we engage this Devi Esha, this superior energy, this energy, Deva energy is directly working under the direction of that Supreme Lord. When we take shelter of that Supreme Lord Krishna, we can easily get free from the influence of this illusory energy. Because of illusory energy only, we starts developing, our love starts converting into lust. Our love starts converting into the lust. So yes, anyone has any question or anything to share or ask, please feel free to
Prabhu,
share and
here
ask.
one question I want to, it's not a
Yes.
question, just an observation. Because if we talk about lust or krodh, Prabhu, Bhishma Pitama never had that. But because he was not with Krishna, he was with means Duryodhan and Kauravas, that's why his activities became sinful. He was part of the sinful activity.
So yes, Bhishma, he is a pure devotee of the Lord. He is a Mahajana. So Lord, through his pure devotees, he sets the example into the society that even though you
Because of
support a
prana that he
dharma,
did.
huh?
Because of the oath or the prana he took, means
Correct.
that, right?
That I will protect this Kuru dynasty.
Hmm.
I'll protect the Kuru dynasty. I'll protect the king of the Kuru dynasty. That is the vow he had taken. So how by taking a side of dharma, we won't be spared. Nobody can protect us if we take a part of adharma. But Bhishma, being a pure devotee, is always under the shelter of the Supreme Lord Krishna. So that's why it is very, very important how this lust develops. Already we have heard in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Samvad Sanjayate Kama, Kama Krodha Vijayate, that by the association we develop lust. Just like I gave an example of a mall, we visit shopping mall. So we go and associate ourselves with that shopping mall or certain place. So what happens? We develop certain desires. Oh, let me purchase this, let me purchase that. Oh, this is also good, that is also good. So we start taking all the things. Even though our pocket may not allow, many times we end up taking a lot of things which are not at all required or which are not at all necessary. Right? So, what kind of association we have in our life is very, very important. Just like for a person who is pursuing or who wants to become a doctor, he has to go and admitted into medical college. If he goes and admitted and sits into engineering college, he cannot become a doctor. He has to go and admit himself into the medical college. Then only he can become a doctor. So same way, we want to free from this bondage of material existence. We have a certain purpose in our life, a higher goal in our life. So it is very, very important for us to associate with the message of Krishna, which is like an invitation for all of us. He's inviting all of us back to Godhead. He's inviting all of us. Yes. Hope this helps.
Yes, Prabhu.
Any other question or anything to share or ask?
Prabhu, I
Hare
have a
Krishna,
question.
Prabhuji.
Yes. Yes. We'll go first.
Hina can go first. I'll wait.
Thank
All
you.
right.
I have just two questions, Prabhuji. So one question is regarding the lust. So you said that in the last line itself that we can use the lust and wrath in the process of Krishna consciousness, then it will be our friends, not the enemies. So in that case, like, has Krishna described, like, whenever we are in a devotional society, and also we are close to Krishna consciousness, and then also we have certain kind of a comparative comparison, and also like some kind of होड़ में लग जाते हैं ना, we are
Correct.
in the race of like exceeding the other devotee. We
Hmm.
are in that sense we are there using the lust, but in Krishna consciousness. So when has the Krishna also described like where to stop, where is the line to use this in Krishna consciousness, and where to draw back your limbs like the tortoise?
Correct. So very wonderful question. So many times, just I'll mention this question again. Many times when we are in association with the devotees practicing devotional service or bhakti yoga, we see a lot of devotees are there. They are also practicing. We are also serving Krishna. So many times we get a tendency to have a competition. We get envious, and all those things happens. So is it okay, or how to deal with such situation? This is your question, right? So the thing is, Prabhupada at one place he mentions that competition even exists between the gopis in the Golok of Vrindavan. They are very eager to serve Krishna. Just like if you see Rukmani and Satyabhama, they are competing with each other. Who can serve Krishna more and more better? So this competition is not an issue, not a problem. But this competition should help us, should inspire us to serve Krishna better, more and more, rather than developing an enviousness towards particular person. We should not develop enviousness. The moment we we are feeling that enviousness towards particular devotee, we should try to rectify ourselves by taking the or seeking the guidance from the devotees. This enviousness, how we can understand is, we try to put obstacles into the path of another devotee's devotional life. We try to put obstacles, or we try to, pull him down so that he cannot serve Krishna. Whereas reality, or how we should, act is, we should help other devotees to serve Krishna. That's why Prabhupada says we use a word to address devotees as a Prabhu. Prabhu means you are my master, I am your servant. So I am there in your service because you are serving Krishna. I am there in your service. Help me how I can serve you better so that you can serve Krishna better. And this is what Krishna wants. Krishna does not want us to be learned, does not want us to be intelligent, like well versed with all the things. He simply sees who is anxious to serve my devotees. So that person is very, 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 very dear to Krishna. So our mood should be always to help the devotees, to serve them so that they can serve Krishna better. That also we should have our mood. Yes, competitive tendency is there, not an issue, but it should not lead to enviousness, or comparison should not lead to enviousness. This is, we have to be very, very mindful. That's why we have to be in association of devotees. We have to take their guidance, seek their guidance, and then we have to act gradually and make advancement in our spiritual life. Then we are safe. Hope this helps you.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Yes.
Thank you for the thought-provoking session you gave today.
Oh.
On behalf of everyone, I would like to say thank you to you because you've been guiding all of us all throughout. So my query is that you beautifully kept the name of the session as "You Must Know Your Enemy." So you saying that lust is our enemy, or is there anything else which is our enemy?
Lust is our main enemy, is the greatest enemy. From lust, everything starts. And not, I'm saying it is, it is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of the contact with material modes of passion and later transformed into God, which is all devouring, sinful enemy of this world. See, sinful enemy is of this world, of this material world. It is sinful enemy. This is the thing. Actually, lust is the only thing which provoke us to act sinfully. Lust is the only thing.
So desire is not an enemy.
Desire is not an enemy.
Okay.
Lust is an enemy. Lust, basically what happens when we have lust, so our desire will be like, I want it for myself. Just like we discussed, no, desire beyond our capacity, desires which we are not entitled for, all these desires we get because of lust. Whereas a devotee gets a desire, I want to serve Krishna. I want to perform such acts, or I want to serve Krishna in such a way which Krishna likes, which is favorable for my service to Krishna, which is favorable for my Krishna consciousness. That is love. Just like a wife is there, he does whatever her husband likes. She cooks. Suppose a wife loves her husband very much, she will cook what her husband likes. So same way, when we have to develop our love for Krishna, we have to follow this process of sadhana bhakti. And when we follow this process of sadhana bhakti, just like sadhana bhakti means chanting prescribed number of rounds, like Prabhupada has prescribed 16 rounds to chant, read every day Srimad Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam, offer, eat prasadam of the Lord, offer something to the Lord. So when we follow all these prescriptions, so process of sadhana bhakti, it helps us to develop love for Supreme Lord. Then what happens? We develop Raganuga Bhakti. Raganuga Bhakti means spontaneous love. Spontaneous love means spontaneously I'll act for the pleasure of the Lord. Now rules and regulations are not required. Spontaneously it will come from the bottom of my heart. All these actions will come just like a pure devotee acts, like Prabhupada. So there is a process. There are 9 stages. Adho Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti. So these 4 things are like preliminary stage, like Adho Shraddha. With the Adho means with the firm, with some tender faith. With some tender faith is there in our heart for Krishna. Adho Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sangha. When we have such tender faith in our heart for Krishna, we associate with the devotees, Sadhu Sangha. And when we associate with the devotees, what happens? We perform devotional service. We perform bhajana kriya. We serve Krishna. And when we serve Krishna, serving Krishna includes chanting the holy name, all these activities that we do, hearing about Krishna, Krishna's message, all that is bhajana kriya. And when we do bhajana kriya, when we engage ourselves in the service of the Krishna, next step is anartha nivritti. Our anarthas, bad habits, will get destroyed. Nivritti means it will get destroyed. When our bad habits are destroyed, next is Adho Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sangha Bhajana Kriya Anartha Nivritti Nishtha. We develop firm faith in Krishna. And when we develop firm faith in Krishna, what happens? Our ruchi, our taste develop to serve Krishna. That is known as Raganuga Bhakti. And when that taste develop to serve Krishna, then ruchi, from ruchi, bhava develops, and then prema. One develops feeling, pure feeling for that Supreme Lord, bhava. And then he develops the pure love for that Supreme Lord, where he is free from all kinds of contamination, all kinds of lust. Just like we heard when we read Bhagavatam, there are a lot of such great examples of pure devotees. Even though they are the king, they are taking care of all the material welfare activities, all such things they are engaged. They are engaged in maintaining the entire kingdom, all such activities they are engaged. But they are always anointed with the love of Godhead. Their eyes are completely anointed with the love of Godhead. They are performing all those acts, even though it may be look like a material act, but they are doing all those activities for the pleasure of the Lord. Even their small act is pleasing to the Lord. Just like Krishna gave few verses back, we read the example of. Anyone remembers whose example we read?
No.
रात गई बात गई. Example of Janaka Maharaj, Krishna gave. So Janaka is a pure devotee of the Lord. He is a Mahajana. So whatever action he is performing, whether he is sleeping, whether he is eating, whether he is going, he is ruling, protecting his nation, his kingdom, all are pleasing to the Lord. So when we engage ourselves in Krishna's service, gradually, all these anarthas, all these bad habits, all the abhadras, all the inauspiciousness in our hearts will get purified. Then what kind of desires we will get? We will get a desires to serve Krishna. Currently we are having deep-rooted desires in our heart. What is there for me? If I do so and so thing, will I get something or not? All such desires are there in our heart, which are centered around our own happiness, our own pleasure. Then gradually, what will happen, whether we are happy or not, we will simply act for Krishna's pleasure. Just like I'll just try to, correlate this very wonderful pastime. When this Hanuman, he went to Lanka to find out Mother Sita, to locate Mother Sita, where she is. So he was a Nashtika Brahmachari. So he has to go and see every woman's face. Oh, is this Mother Sita? Is this Mother Sita? He has to go each and every house, each and every palace. Somewhere he is seeing some woman is not properly dressed. Somewhere he is seeing woman is intimating with her husband. All those things he is seeing. So he got completely disturbed. His mind was completely disturbed. To the extent he thought, what I am doing? I am a brahmachari. What I am doing? So he thought, let me commit suicide. Let me die. Let me commit suicide. Then immediately second thought came that I am doing this to serve my Lord. It is my service. It is my duty to serve my Lord. So again he continued to search for Mother Sita. So that is the difference one can observe by practicing this sadhana bhakti. Gradually, over a period of time, one can see the change in himself, the transformation in himself. And it is not like Krishna will leave us. Oh, TK, you do. I don't bother. No, Krishna guides us personally. He takes care of situations and positions, all these things in our life. He personally takes charge of such sincere devotees. Here also, if we see, now Krishna has told about the enemy. So he is going to give the address of the enemy, where that enemy sits, resides. Next, he is going to give the solution, how to fight with that enemy. So Krishna is not something like, now apna dekho aap, I don't bother. No, he is constantly worrying about us, especially those who are engaged in his bhakti, in his devotional service. Just like I gave this example, I think earlier also. Suppose last year there was a marriage of Ambani's son, Anant Ambani. Suppose he invite a person who is not well off, he is not having much financial support, he invites to him, oh, you come to my marriage, oh sorry, son's marriage. Now this person is thinking, I am a poor fellow, I am not having sufficient money to have a food. But he is so kind, he has invited me to the marriage, but how I will go? I don't have sufficient money to food. How I will travel? What I will wear? Or what kind of gift I will carry? All that he is thinking. But in case of Krishna, he not only has given invitation, he has arranged exclusive private jet for each one of us. And in this private jet, we have the association of the devotees. In this private jet, we have all the facilities by which we can hear about him. This private jet is equipped with all the facilities to make our journey comfortable. So Krishna has given all these facilities. Only thing is, we have to take our step towards him. We have to take a step. And gradually, especially some of you might have experienced in your life, out of nowhere, Krishna has guided us. Krishna has guided us out of nowhere. There was no ray of hope. But all of a sudden, Krishna has hold our hand. Krishna is very, 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 very merciful upon those who are very, very sincere. So yes, sorry. Hope this helps your question or anything
Yes,
else.
Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay, so we shall end here. It is almost like 1 hour 45 minutes already. Such a long session, or we could cover only 2 verses. There are 2 more verses to go to complete this section, and we shall take up. There are some 5 verses are remaining to complete this chapter, Karma Yoga. Alright, so we will end here. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki,
Jai.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki,
Jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.